Welcome, everybody. We are here yet again for the CHINUCH CALL-IN show. We have some great questions, Baruch Hashem, that we received from our last class that we want to follow up on. And we have some other good topics to discuss. So one of the questions that was submitted, let me read it out loud. Next week, can we delve more into the child who pushes boundaries and bothers you just cause, and calling our children / students and having them come over to you right away and not being white noise? So those are really, that's a incredible question. So let's get into a few of these. So one part is pushing boundaries, which I think we should talk on about boundaries as well, like get into that. And the other part is calling them and having them come right away, or giving some sort of, asking them to do something and that they should follow through right away, and how to speak in order to not become white noise. So all of those are topics. So do you want to start?
Yes, let's start. So just like we talked about the last class, I think it was the last class we talked about it. The first thing we should try is to remind ourselves, and this is sort of maybe we do when the kids are asleep and have a forbidden with our co-teacher or our husband or our wives, is that our kids are good kids. Just the Yetzer Hara is coming and doing this. And that's sort of a mindset we're coming into the situation. One of the things that I thought about from last class, I was analyzing myself and how I was doing with a lot of the things we talk about. One of the miles of this is that you get to like realize, like, am I doing my way on that? Am I practicing what I preach? And for sure I am in general, but I was being very, like, I was paying attention. So this idea of white noise and how to like deal with them and how to make sure they come to you when you ask them. So we've been saying this, and I spoke to a few people during the last 2 weeks, and it goes on to the same point of consistency, meaning, and so I had a few examples that I wrote down that I saw, like a simple thing. You know, you want your kids, let's say they come home from school and they chuck their shoes off and they walk off. So you want them to put the shoes in the right spot. You have a nice spot you've set for them. So,
which, by the way, that's important. They should have a spot where it goes.
Yeah, it's a whole different class. And so you have somewhere you put it, or whatever it is, it's the books go back in the right spot. So I noticed, let's say, so you say, put your shoes in the right place. Now, the question then becomes, why are they going to put the shoes in the right place? Do they have something better to do? Are you going to follow up with that? Are you going to make sure they do it? If you're not going to follow up, if you're not going to make sure they do it, so why would they do it? You know, unfortunately, you know, let's say in America, there's a simple, like, there's an issue with packages and people stealing packages. And one of the main issues is that they know they're not going to get caught. Police aren't going to go after it. So like, whatever, I'll take the, you know, so some people are brought up not to take packages and some people are not brought up, and I'll just take whatever. And you have, you know, Kranites, we have this issue that everyone talks about a lot. And the real issue is that they know, you know, I heard this study that they said that to stop crime, it's not the severity of the punishment. This is a beautiful word. It's not the severity of the punishment, it's the consistency of the punishment. It's knowing you're going to get caught. People more, they would make sure not to do the crime, more so because of knowing they're going to get caught versus they're not going, versus the amount of punishment.
Yeah, how big the punishment will be.
What meaning in simple in terminology, what we're talking about is if the kid knows that he's not going to be able to get away with it, so he's going to do it. But if he thinks he can get away with it, even though once out of every 2-3 times you get him a severe punishment and he misses out on something, see, that's just annoying for him because it's like it's inconsistent. So it's not about you have to like a punishment, but you have to make sure it's, the consistency is what makes the results. And so when we tell our kid, a simple example, putting the shoes in the right spot or put the book back or put the toys away, just follow up with it and just say it in a way that you're looking, follow, like point, like sort of face the direction of what you want, and have this image of, I'm waiting for this to happen now. and the kid will see it on you, and the kid will do it because like you're waiting. Whereas, unfortunately, if you say it as you're sitting on the couch on your phone, or you're walking off, or you're doing dinner, which is a very good thing, but your chance of it happening, especially if you're not consistent, the kid is up to the kid if they want to or not. Which means in order to not be white noise, you have to not speak white noise. Meaning white noise is background thing that doesn't really matter. It's just there to like drown out things. If you don't want to be that drowning out, you have to be a person that's going to actually have results coming from it. And that's within yourself. And meaning if you're cooking dinner and the shoes aren't in the right place, and you can't do anything about making sure they go there, so just don't do it.
Don't even open your mouth. Just don't. If you can't follow through, don't even say it.
Yeah. And it could be things that you should say. But if you realize you can't follow through, meaning saying something that's not going to be done that's not the point. That doesn't help. And it's better not to say. If it needs to be done, so then you have to stop cooking, turn off the fire, and go deal with it. But to be cooking and telling them and not going to listen, clean up your room as you're doing dinner, that's like a recipe for disaster. Because if they're not gonna do it without you being there and making sure on top of them, and it's a lot of this is something that we think it's within ourselves, and that's what we got to work on ourselves more than working on the kids. It's realizing when we can actually speak and using that, and using the value of our speech, making our speech valuable. That's how you stop being white noise. Some examples is, like come sit down for dinner. If you sit there and you're sitting on your phone or you're eating dinner and you're like, come sit down for dinner, think to yourself, am I making sure they come and sit down for dinner now? If I'm not going to follow through and make sure that happens, so then either don't say it or say it and follow through with it. And it takes a lot of, it's a change in the way we look at what we're doing. That's another example. Another example is like, go get a book. Like you want to read, kids like at bedtime, they're going to read. So go get a book. You say that and you're on your phone and you don't really care. You don't care to read. But this is part of the process. And you think to yourself, they want to get the book to read. Like they want to read the story. So I just on my phone waiting. But if you're not consistent, so they're like, the kids, on the way, they find a million things to happen. When you become consistent with it and you're constantly consistent, so then you don't need to be so attentive to everything because they know that they got to do it. And you just have to upkeep it. So you don't have to constantly, not every time you have to tell them. Then you can get to the stage, meaning you can get to the stage where you can cook dinner and they can clean the room. But that doesn't happen in the beginning. That happens when every time for the last 10 times that you said clean the room, you were there and making sure they do it. So they've been trained that they've got to do it. And then you're cooking and you tell them they're going to do it. You just have to upkeep and, and make sure when it's finished, you check it and they'll do a good job in Mitzvah Hashem. So you'll be like, guys, what an amazing job you did. You should be proud of yourself and proud of them. They did it. Like, great job. The room is beautiful, spotless. They'll be very happy. And if it's not, that's a mental note for yourself that I'm not consistent enough and it's not working. So I gotta be careful what I say and retreat back to being careful with the words that I use and what I'm saying. And so small things like getting the book, putting your shoes away, could be go to the party, go get a drink. If you say it, you have to mean what you're saying, and there's a lot of pack up your toys, clean up the toys, put that toy away, come here. If you say it.
So now, can we do a maybe like a role play a little bit? Because I feel that a lot of people say it and they want to follow through with it, but like it's happened to me in the past, the kid doesn't.
Okay. Yeah.
So how would you handle a situation where you say come here and the kid is acting like a little cheeky?
So should we role play?
I don't know if you want to role play or if you want to first explain it and then what happens if the kid's acting cheeky and it's like getting in your nerves?
Okay, well, I think it's, for me, maybe it's a little different because I've been doing this for a while, generally correct. So like a kid being cheeky, something's up. Well,
this is your first time trying
Okay, my first time trying
to implement this. So you tell this kid who has never had to do it, and now you're saying it.
Okay,
now what?
Yeah. So when it's that first time, so then in my head, I'll prepare myself and I'll come to something. Let's say the shoes, I'll find it. You could even I'll keep it simple. But you find something that you know can be done. Let's say the shoes putting away, and I'll say to my kid, we'll call him Mendel. So I'll say, Mendel, can you please put your shoes in the right spot? Now you should know what the right spot is, of course. Mendel, can you please put your shoes in the cupboard? And so let's say the cupboard is in that direction. So I'll stand like this. And I'll look at him. And probably what will happen is he'll look at me and he'll be like, he'll look at what I'm doing. If he's not used to it at all, he might just continue. And then, if I want to be really good at what I'm doing, I'll say, Mendel, and he'll turn at me. Hopefully that can do that at least. He'll turn, and I'll say, I'll just point to the shoes, and I'll point to the direction. And that will normally be like, whoa, like this is interesting. And I'll stand there with this like tentativeness that like, yeah, this is what we're
Pause. Not angry, not burning fire, not upset.
Confident.
Yes, confident, not angry. We learned that in previous classes.
Yeah, confident, because this is the start to the key to the change in my whole dynamic with my kids or with the students, with everybody. This is just, it's not because I'm older, you should listen to me. It's because we're here for a reason and we have the things we want to achieve over here. And part of that achievement is you listening to me. So when I come, I'll stand there and normally and they should go. If they don't and they try to walk around, I'm just, the little kids, I'll just like stand in front of them and I say, I might say it again just because I see like we're totally off here. I'll say, I ask you to please put the shoes back in the right spot. Once you do that, you can come out. You can come. And so the kid might try to go past you, but I know, and it's like, I feel like I know from experience, when you haven't really seen the success, so it's hard to stand strong, but you got to push through. You got to stand strong. And I know that it's successful, so I'll stand strong. I'm standing there, and the kid might try to go past me, and I'll just stand there and I'll say, and I won't say anything. I'll just show them that we're not moving around until this gets done. They might sit there and sit down. So then I'll wait. Again, my emotion, the way I feel inside of me is I'm calm, but I'm confident I know that this is the step to start having success. And I'll wait, and if the kid's waiting and it's sort of that they're testing you in the waiting game or whatever it is, they're trying to see how long, like who's going to give, especially when they've seen that you haven't been consistent and you haven't had that strength. So they say to themselves, yeah, listen, they're going to give in. Something's going to happen. So what I'll do is I'll try to speed up the process by like doing something, showing something else fun. Or maybe in this case, let's say there's another parent. So I'll say, go play like music, have like a dance party. So then.
Well, that definitely works in our house.
In our house, yeah, it works. Whatever it is, and then the kid sees, like we've talked about before, there's no benefit in sitting here doing nothing. I could just put these shoes away and go dance. Let me just do that. And so the kid will do that. And then you'll win that battle.
Yes. And that's the beginning. If you do those little small ones time and time again, it starts to build up to the point where it's just the nature. It's the way that the house runs. Yeah.
And that example of what you're going to do is whatever it is works for the kid. Let's say in your house you have fruits. So I would not, to be understood that I wouldn't say, go put that away, put the shoes away, and then we're gonna have a dance party. Maybe lechatchila I probably would say that it'd be better. But once I'm at the point that we talked about, I wouldn't say, hey, put the shoes away, we're gonna have a dance party, or put the shoes away, we're gonna eat something yummy, because you're convincing them that you're circumventing the purpose. The purpose is they're doing because you told them. The purpose, you're changing it, and you're showing that you're weak. And what they're going to do is the next time that happens, they'll say, "I'll do it if you give me something." And so then you're showing that you don't have the confidence. So
1 second, let's differentiate. When are you meant to say, if you like, go put on your shoes so we can go have a dance party?
So that could be l'chatzil. That's an easy way of saying it. That's like you could do that in the that's sort of maybe a
like
better version.
Right when you get home, if that's what your goal is. So right when you get home, that's how you handle it.
Yeah, and on that train of thought, if you do that, so then your consistency is until the shoes get put back, you don't have the dance party. And so let's say they don't put the shoes back, and you're like, oh, we want to do the dance party, let's go. And they like look at you like, what? And it's like, yeah, the shoes have to be back. And you're like, oh, whatever. You're like, oh, we just have to wait a little bit. Tell me when you're ready. And they're like, okay, and they put the dance, and once they do it, you're like, back, we're excited, we're dancing, we're doing the dance party. And it could be whatever it is for you.
Right. And now when's the time when you don't say put your shoes, we'll have a dance party?
I'm saying you don't have to see it. If you're not in the mood of having a dance party, you don't have to do it all the time. So
I'm saying you made it sound like
it works. It's an easier version.
Right. So now when you're in the situation where you already asked for something without the dance party, you want to follow through.
Yeah. So being that let's say you don't want to sit there for a while, so you're speeding up the process of getting them to do it, but making it beneficial for them to do it by causing something else, whether it's a dance party, whether it's if you watch videos in your house, or whether you eat something. So you tell someone else, oh, go stop playing a video, whatever. You tell them quietly and say, oh, and that person comes say, hey, we're gonna watch a video now. Who's ready to watch a video? So then that kid will see, the ears will perk up and like, what's going on over there? And like, watching a video, and then they might try again to go past you, but again, you're like, no, you're not going past. You don't have to say, hey, we're not going past until you've already told them. They know. Mm-hmm. Don't repeat yourself because you're devaluing making your words white noise again. You don't have to. You've said it. As long you have to know that you said it clearly, so they know what they're expected to do, and they have to understand clearly what they need to do in order to get out of the situation. They don't. You need to make sure that, otherwise it'll be very hard. Right. But being that they do know, so you just sit there and you can pull out your phone. You don't have to like sit there and look at them and making faces or whatever. Like, just pull out your phone, learn something, read something, talk to someone else even. You're not trying to like annoy the situation. The situation is annoying for them because of their own whatever they're doing. You're just making sure that they realize that. And yeah.
Right.
Make sense? Hope.
Yeah. Well, at least.
And together with that, like you said before as well, that doesn't happen every time. That's in the beginning. It happens once. And with that commitment to stand strong with it and follow through with it, you'll be successful. So then the next time it happens, again, you show the same enthusiasm, and you show the same body language and confidence. They'll see that confidence. They'll try to test again, probably, but they'll see quicker that it's not going to work because they've already seen that it doesn't really work. And once you have 2 times, it's time to realize this is how it works. And as long as you're careful that with what you're saying, it's going to happen. So then the 3rd time already, it's going to be quick. And the 4th time, you're not going to sit there. Your body language will be the correct one, but they will automatically go. And then let's say with the shoes, every day for 3 days, you do the same story. The 4th day, you probably won't have to say anything, and they automatically put the shoes down. They already understand, And then you could sort of go and have the opportunity to comment them. You put your shoes back by yourself. Beautiful. Give them a hug. And you've won that battle, and that helps with all the other ones. But it goes together with the other ones. Remember the same style, the same idea.
Redo consistency. Back to our topic, the title.
Because it's hard if you do on one thing. Let's say on the shoes, you're very consistent. You do this, but then you talk the rest of the day with everything else. You just talk and you white noise again. So then it makes it more challenging for that situation. Although if you're consistent on that one situation, they'll be like, oh, this is weird, but for some reason with these shoes, they have to go back and then by hook or by crook. So I'll get it. But like everything else will sort of be like weird.
Right. So a few tips in regards to this. Tip number 1 is that when you are being consistent, make sure that you are not angry, that you are not losing your cool, because that, again, it shows them that they are having an effect on you. So, for example, one of the things that sometimes gets me is when we play the let's wait it out game. So I go and I say, put your shoes away. And then they start to walk away without putting their shoes away, let's say. And I say, I point again, I look at them, or I say their name, for example, and I look at them, and I tried my best not to repeat myself. And I point at the shoes, and I point at where they're meant to go, and then I wait.
Just to reiterate that the reason why you're not talking again is because it's clear they understand. If they don't understand, then you have to say it. But if you're at the point that you know they understand what they're meant to be doing. So the reason why you're pointing and not speaking is because you're giving value to your words. And when they see that your words are valuable, so then the next time you say something once, it has a lot more weight to it. If you say it 3 times, it has less weight.
Right. So for example, yes, exactly. So if you were to say,
make sure.
Yeah.
So then you point.
So then you point, and then the kid either giggles or waits it out, or it's like, can I sit on the couch and like twiddle my thumbs? And somewhere deep inside of me, I realize that the kid is totally playing me for a fool. And it can be very hard because my ego then gets involved, whether it's because we're in public or whether it's because whatever. But if I can tell that I'm starting to get upset because I feel like I'm being played by a 2, 3, 4, 5, 6-year-old, whatever age, then it can be very hard to stay calm and to follow through in those times. So be aware that that could be a possibility. And when you do that, take a moment, even if you're just standing there, maybe don't look at the kid, take a moment to cool down, think for yourself and say, okay, I feel that anxiety, I feel that unhappiness inside of me. I'm going to make sure that it will not come out. They will not feel it. They will not experience it because it's not going to be beneficial for me and it's not going to be beneficial for them. So
I'll just add to what you're saying, and meaning it's a good point you bring up. But let's say, so the example that I gave is because I'm experienced with this a little bit, so I'm already prepared myself for the situation and how I'm going to deal with it. That's why I said the example that don't come out to go past me. So let's say the kid is sitting on the couch in the open room, and you tell him to put his shoes, and he's sitting on the couch, and you're not going to start pulling and dragging him. So it's the same sort of svara. You ask them what you want, make sure it's clear. You can point to them, and let's say they ignore you, and you're not going to sit there and hold them and pull them and drag them. So you can do the same idea. Let's have a dance party, or let's go eat something, and the kid will like, oh yeah, and they say you can only eat when you put the stuff back, and you have control of the food. Again, you have to think through it to make sure you have control of whatever the situation. If it's a dance party and you can't control them dancing, then it's not going to work. But if you can do it, let's say you go to another room, turn on the music, and close the door, and say, and that other thing, remember, the intent of it is to make it beneficial for them to just follow what you asked.
Yes. So step 1 is the first time you say something, make sure that they actually heard you. Make sure, for example, call their name, look into their face, look at their eyes, hopefully, and say, your shoes go over there. Like, please take your shoes over there, or whatever it is. The second step is don't repeat yourself several times. And really the preamble before all of this is when you're getting into it, prepare yourself.
Yeah, be prepared.
As Sharon
think about
said,
what you're doing.
Think about what you're doing. Get into that mode of, I'm not going to be angry. This is just going to be a lesson that I'm going to teach. I'm going to teach this beautiful lesson, and I'm not going to be angry about it. And so when you come in, you already know, stay calm. And then take those steps, right? Make sure to say it in a way that they hear it, so that you know for a fact that they heard you and they understood. Number 2 is don't repeat yourself a million times. Point, look at them, use your body language, not in anger, but with confidence, to be able to ensure that they follow through. Number 3 is
it's just also they understand that you're serious.
Yeah.
They see your reaction. You see, we have a lot of good interpersonal relationship skills, and we pick up little things, little cues, and you're showing them or teaching them those cues. And they're young enough, they figure it out. Or if they're not, they're learning, and they see when you have that look That means we're serious and we got to get going.
Right. And then the next thing is either follow through if you're able to, if it reaches a point where you have to help them with it. Well, actually, rewind. Step before that is to try and make something else enjoyable, as Sharon was saying, whether it's a dance party or we're going to do this, or we're going to do that, whatever it is in your family that the kids enjoy. Say, oh, the only thing is you have to put your shoes away before we do that.
And also important that the dance party, whatever it is, it doesn't have to be just for them. I mean, it has to be able to be done without them.
Yes.
Because if it's just for them, so then they don't see they're missing. Whereas if let's say we're gonna have fast watermelon's a treat, let's say. So we're gonna have watermelon. And if there's just you and them, so you go cut the watermelon, start eating, and you have to make it look like it's the best watermelon you ever had. And they're looking at you, and you don't look at them like say, just calm, enjoying, and they're gonna like see, and like, I want some of that watermelon, and they're gonna know what to do. Or they'll say, can I have some? You say, yeah, sure. You just need to do what I asked you to. And I'll say, if they don't remember, sometimes kids don't always remember. And they're like, oh, no. What would you need me to do? I'll just put the shoes back. And they're like, okay. And I'll go and I'll come. You give them watermelon, and you don't have to be unhappy about it. Like, perfect.
Right.
I'm happy that you came and joined us in this good, enjoyable watermelon.
And as we discussed before, try your hardest not to hold grudges. Even though you literally just pulled your hair and it drove you crazy, your entire, you were up in all arms and pissy about it. But once they do the right thing, try your hardest to not hold grudges and just try and let it go and reinforce all the positive steps after that. And compliment them on the positive things that come after that. So all of those, I think, are good tips. I wanted to say also, when you have a situation like this, we usually try at night once the kids go to bed, or even if it happens in the morning and then the kids go to school, so then we have a quick conversation like, okay, how can we this situation is probably going to happen again. Putting away the shoes, get dressed, take a bath, do homework, whatever it is, it's probably going to happen again at some point in our lives. How can we be more prepared to handle the situation next time? And working together with a spouse or working together, with your co-teacher, so then you're able to A, analyze it for yourself, and B, you're also able to enter with it more prepared. So for us, for example, if it happens to be the shoes, so then we have a quick conversation or a long conversation, depends how hard it was, and say, okay, next time that we get home from school and I'm going to ask them to put away their shoes, how am I going to handle it? Maybe I could mention, by the way, this is the place where the shoes go, just so it's clear for them. We have to make sure that the expectations that we have are age appropriate and the expectations that we have are clear for them. Like, put your shoes away, but they don't have a place where the shoes need to go, or they don't know where that place is, then we're also not having the right expectation. So if we prepare beforehand for the situation, A, it helps our mindset. B, it helps us prepare so that emotionally, so that we try our hardest not to get upset. And B, we're able, C, we're able to have also a team approach. We're all on the same page. And for example, if something happened in the morning, then I shared it with Sharon, and so by the time Sharon comes home, we can work together on it. If it replays itself in the afternoon, something like that.
Yeah, and you can discuss it, and there's no failure. Just trying and learning, and yeah, one of the best things we do is we discuss it. At the end of the day, we'll talk about the story, what happened, and how we dealt with it, and once you say it over again, you start to see things and you get more clarity. Or speaking to someone else, they can help you together with it, and yeah.
Okay, so far, let me see if we have any questions based on this. Okay, we have a question. Okay, what if you're helping another child and you call out to, what if you're helping a child and you call out to another child? How can you get children to listen when you can't give them your 100% because other children need you? Very, very good point. Okay, So when it comes to this,
maybe explain the question.
Okay, fine. So the question, if I understand it correctly, is that if, let's say, I'll explain it from a parenting perspective, which happened to me today actually, that I was being pulled in a lot of directions. One of my kids needed help, in this learning program that he does on the computer. Another kid really wanted snack, and the other kid, his toy broke, and I was just like all over the place. So I try my hardest to focus on one thing at a time. So for example, I quickly cut up an apple so that I can get one kid not following me, holding my skirt, saying that they need a snack. And then I try to compartmentalize as much as possible, because if we're constantly running like this, headless chicken, then no one gets anything. So try as much as possible to see if there's a way that you can settle one thing so you can deal with the other one properly.
I think also it's also because you might know that you're not being able to have the full attention, so try to not get into it. Like for us, let's say sometimes the kids, they go to the bath and when they come out, and what we want them to do is take their clothes and put it in the washing basket. But sometimes I realize for me to get them to do that and make sure they do it, it's not also feasible and it's not worth it for me. So I just won't do anything about it. I won't tell them. And I'll do it myself. I'd rather them do it, but if I realize it's not going to be able to do it, and then it's not good. If I'm going to say something, I'm not going to listen, so I just won't say anything. So that's awesome. You can't give 100% attention to a situation, then maybe try avoid the situation. Don't deal with it, even though it's something that they should do, and they should put the shoes away, or they should take the clothes, and they should do this. But if you can't deal with it, so then you're not going to gain by just saying it.
Mm-hmm.
You were saying about giving attention. Try
Right.
to deal with.
So try and exactly. Try and settle the ones that you can settle, so you can deal with the one that you really need to. That point I was actually going to say the next is that try not to get into it. Find opportunities where you aren't being pulled. So for example, I know that when we first come home from school, I know that, let's say, my two oldest are more than happy to go play with toys without any, like, they don't need me for that time period. So that's actually exactly when I do homework with my youngest, or a youngest that does homework. And that's when I know that because they're playing nicely or they're doing their thing, I'm able to get into it, so to speak, with my 3-year-old, right? So I'm able to kind of figure out opportunities when it does make sense. When it's dinner time and it's like that transition between dinner and bath, let's say, not the right time, because then I'm flying around. I know that I'm handling a lot of kids at the same time. So for example, in a classroom setting, I'm not sure exactly how it works from here, but in a classroom setting, if there is a time when the rest of the class is doing something, or let's say the co-teacher is doing an activity and you see that somebody's, not following through or whatever, that's the time to really follow through in the classroom, as opposed to when it's, let's say, centers and all the kids are walking around doing their own thing, or free play and all the kids are doing their thing. Not necessarily the time. If it's a dangerous thing, obviously you have to follow through. If it's, if you have to follow through, then you have to follow through. But it's not one of those times where I would specifically pick to try and, win the little battles in order to gain more momentum for this.
Yeah. Also, just an important point that the battles that you're having, you're trying to show them that you're serious, you're not white noise. You don't base it off what you'd like to change. You base it off what you can actually change. That's a very important thing to realize. One thing that might bother you to no end and annoys you, and you're like, so you want to deal with that. But you have to realize that probably that thing is one that you don't have the skills at the moment to actually deal with. So you got to go to the simple, small ones that you can deal with, and that will help that bigger situation to be able to get dealt with.
So in honor of Hey Tavis, I realized that I actually didn't have this book yet, which is funny because it's been out for a while. So one of the stories that's in here, it's page 28 of Seeds of Wisdom number 2, says lasting resolutions. During a private audience with a young man who was dedicated to self-improvement, the Rebbe observed, quote, "There are 2 reasons that good resolutions rarely last. The first is that in hope of dramatic transformation, People take upon themselves changes in behavior that are unrealistic and too difficult. Less is often more. If you want results, it's better to focus on the achievable rather than on the desirable. So let's just take that moment and for bringing about that for a second. Many times we take upon ourselves hachotas that are what I'm meant to be doing. I'm meant to be saying the full chitas with full kavanah. I'm meant to be having a full davening every single day. I'm meant to daven, shachris mincha ma'ariv. I'm meant to say Kriya Shema with tears. Like,
it's good that you see that. No, the point is, it's not a bad thing. It's good that you have those goals, but the reality is you have to figure out what's actually achievable.
And don't lose sight of where you're headed. But Hashem will be doing all of those beautiful things. Don't lose sight of where you're headed, but make 1 second.
Less is often
more. If you want results, it's better to focus on the achievable rather than on the desirable. So that's number one. Secondly, the Rebbe continued, people underestimate the importance of channeling inspiration into immediate action. Never push off a good resolution until later or tomorrow. By then, the inspiration may have passed, and with it, the power of your resolve. So this is crucial, not just for our own achatas, but also for our expectations for our kids. The things we want to accomplish with our kids, don't expect them to be, the absolute perfect by tomorrow just because you listen to the shir tonight. Take one small thing that you want to work on, one small step. And not only that, but the second part of the letter or the second part of the interaction was that even if you take right now that you're inspired, take that one small step that you're going to do tomorrow. What are you doing tomorrow to change this for the better? And
also realize that less is more. That little thing that you do, also you have to be proud of that and give yourself a pat on the back that you've been able to do it. And it could be something that's so easy that like you can even do it now. I'm making that conscious decision to do it and doing it. You should be like, man, this is good. This is a step in the right direction, and I'm great. And keep on those little steps are what get you to further and further.
Yeah. Okay. There's another question. Baruch Hashem, thank you so much for submitting questions. What if one kid doesn't listen and then the next kid jumps on board and also doesn't want to listen? How do you handle both of them?
Well, it goes back to the same principle that your thoughts is that it's more beneficial for them to listen. The reason why you want to get them to listen to you is because your whole dynamic of your relationship with your kids doesn't work well if they're not listening to you. They don't respect you. And then how can you teach them? How can you be a parent, not of discipline, but a parent of like education and raising them and teaching them and like forbearing with them if they don't even listen to you? So what you're trying to achieve is realize the benefit of being with you, benefit of what you're saying and what you're doing. So what you do is your mindset is, let me make something enjoyable
that they're missing
out on for not doing. So if another kid wants to go miss out as well, never for him, I feel bad. But I make it in a way that there's a solution for this problem. You do X and then you get Y. We're gonna go. Like the kid says, I'm not going to put my shoes away. Or I'm not going to clean up. It's like, okay, if you guys don't want to clean up, that's fine. We're just going to go and have a dance party or going to go eat or going to go play outside. And when you're finished, you can come with us. And you have to make sure you're in control of those, whatever that thing is. Like I said before, if you're going to make a dance party and they're going to go dance, even though they're not cleaning up, then you're not gaining anything. But something that you can control, and so is it worth it for them? It's not worth it for them, so they're not going to do it. And are they going to do it because they realize it's not worth it? It might be in the beginning they'll test you on it because they want to see if you're being serious. When they see you are serious, it could be a dance party, you're dancing by yourself, or whatever it is, doing it by yourself, and they might try to laugh at you and they try to like make fun of you just because they're getting uncomfortable that like they're losing out. So they want to make when the kid's losing out, they don't want to lose out, so they're trying to make you feel like you're losing out. So they might come and like, oh, you're sort of falling down by yourself. You don't have to. Don't worry about it. It's key that whatever that other thing is that you're doing is enjoyable enough that it's convincing enough for them to want to do it, and they'll come along.
Which is something that if you're in a classroom setting, have a discussion with your co-teacher about how you can arrange the schedule for those tricky transitions, that there is something enjoyable that follows right after.
Yeah, like for a simple example in the class, it's like if they have to come back from recess, sit down, you say, oh, we're about to play a game. Once everyone's seated and facing me, we can start this little game. So then all the kids, and then you can start complimenting the good kids that the kids are doing straight away. Like, oh, Mendel's sitting down nicely, Yossel's sitting down nicely. And then the kids see this and like, oh, I just want to get complimented. I like getting complimented. They come sit down, and also you're aware of seeing that effort the kids are putting in. And so another easy opportunity of complimenting, and then you got them all sit down. You don't have to fight, you don't have to argue with them. And then you have this little game that they play, and they're like, oh, this is good. I want to do that.
And then the game could be something simple and creative, like, Simon Says, or while they're sitting, you could literally add another 2-3 minutes to your schedule to make the transition easier by doing a game. Like, let's see who can follow, who can touch their nose, or who can make a funny face, or something simple. You don't have to give them treats. You don't have to make a big hurrah. It's simple things that really make a big difference.
And it might take some time to think.
Yeah.
But that little time, or that time that it takes to think, you'll gain so much out of them.
Yeah. So that's for
the kids journeying along. Because the same theory that whatever you're doing has to be the most beneficial. So in the classroom, a teacher, that whatever the teacher's doing should be most beneficial, most enjoyable, what everyone wants to be doing. The teacher's the most boring and what no one wants to do. So like, why would I listen to the teacher? You have to be like a tzaddik of a kid to just listen because you're the teacher. The teacher has to have some respect, or together with that some like incentive, that it's incentivized for the person to come. Not you have to give me something per se, but like he's enjoyable, it's interesting. I saw someone once do something that he used to speak quieter. When the kids weren't listening, to speak quieter. And the kids would be like, oh, what's going on? Like, I'm missing something. And the firmers, they're all like quieting down to listen. And then everyone got everyone to listen. I'm not saying it works with everyone. Yeah, it takes a lot of skill, but that idea, you're showing that it's beneficial to see me and to follow me and do what I'm doing.
And with all that, I wanted to take one point, which you said it kind of in passing, but I want to reiterate it a bit, that our job as parents, or even as teachers, is not exclusively this. Like, it's not just about getting them to listen. It's not just about helping them put their shoes on properly, or wearing their yarmulke on the whole time, or whatever it is. Our job is to be able to live that life already, that's like the minimum. That's like the baseline in order to have a relationship with our kids, both biological, and also our students, to be able to imbue within them a love for Torah, a love for Hashem, a love for an appreciation.
The lessons in life that you want them to come to be, you want to impart to them, what you want them to gain. Like we look back at our lives, and I think everyone does this to some extent, and they see things they wish they were taught differently, and they wish taught differently. Or you hear people that are successful, and they say, oh, my parents always said this to me, or always this to me. And so we want to be doing those things. But in order for that to happen, in order for that thing not to be white noise, so you have to do all what we're talking about.
Right.
And a lot of Chassidus you learn, a lot of the books that you read, sort of one of the, I feel like the frustrating things about it, but really the idea of it is they're not talking about this first level, they're talking about the next level. So we're trying to help with the first level so you can get to the next level, and they teach you what you should show them, what you shouldn't show them. A lot of us are thinking, show them, not show them. My kid's running amok in my house, showing them, I wish I could deal with that.
Dumping the drawers of all
the clothes. Yeah.
So yeah, I just wanted to leave off with that. And I brought up on the chat that this whole concept of Hashem is number one, and Hashem is, it's not only about minhagim, it's not only about getting them to do mitzvahs, it's about living with that concept of Hashem, that they themselves should also wear Hashem glasses and see the world through the eyes of Hashem. So, Chaim, that we should have a lot of atzlacha in all of our chinuch, whether it's our children or our students. And can't wait to see you guys next week.
Yeah, and send in more questions.
Yes, please submit more questions. Send them our way.
We love them.
Yes, we're happy to help.